Hi, this is Jerry Agar. You're listening to the podcast for June 24th, Friday. Thanks for being with me. As you know from yesterday and the announcement from the Minister of Transportation for the province of Ontario, we're going to get some high occupancy toll lanes on chunks of the QEW. Now, what's going to happen there is if you have more than one person in the car, it doesn't make any difference. You can drive on that lane and there's no charge. If, however, there's only one person in the car, you're going to have to pay a fee. You could get a permit to drive as a single person in the HOT lane for $180 if you win the lottery and are one of the first 500 people, which is how they will start it. And that $180 will allow you to go for 3 months. You can renew it a few times, and then you'd go back into the lottery, presumably. So that's a part of what we know about this. Now, I haven't spent extensive time studying whether these lanes actually accomplish what they are supposed to accomplish, but University of Toronto assistant professor with a PhD in economics, Jonathan Hall, has, and he joins me now. Jonathan Hall, good morning.
Good morning.
Were you cheered by the announcement yesterday?
So I view it as a really good first step. So it's good news. It's not perfect, but it's good news.
Okay. I'll tell you one of the things that I worry about is that when we're told, well, you can buy these permits to get into it for $180 or whatever, it seems like it's kind of regressive. Like that's not going to matter a whole lot to the CEO in the Jaguar, but to the guy in the 1975 Gremlin trying to get to work, he can't do that.
So no, that's a real concern people have had for a long time, and my own work has kind of tried directly to address that, is that, are these lanes just really good for the rich and maybe even hurt the poor a little bit? And so this is actually a potential problem with the way they're implementing it, where you have to buy this permit that's good for 3 months. Because what we've learned from other cities, like in LA and Minnesota, that have done this, is a lot of the benefit of these lanes come from me and you, like regular Joes, using it, say, once or twice a month when we're in a hurry, right? This is like you have the job interview or you got to pick up your kid when they're sick. And so if you were to do it with a different technology that let you just do it once or twice a month, I think that really helps kind of broaden the benefits. But the way they're doing it now, you're right. It's going to just be kind of people are willing to pay, basically it amounts to about $1.50 a trip. Yeah. To kind of avoid traffic.
Well, as you were saying that, Jonathan, it made me think of how I might use the 407, which is hardly ever because I'll put up with the 401 because I don't like the 407 prices. But by golly, if I needed to get somewhere, I'd be glad it was there. And it would be a marginal cost in my annual budget as opposed to having to buy a permit to drive on the 407.
Exactly right. And that's how most people use these in other cities.
Okay. So in other words, once again, Ontario's going to do it, but they're going to do it wrong.
Yeah. So I think the reason they're doing it this way is with the permit system, like they don't have to build gantries that like think something in your car. But this is why I see it as a first step, because if this is what they were going to end doing and not improve, I'd be disappointed. If this is the first step towards doing it right, then I'm happy. Okay.
Jonathan Hall is with me, University of Toronto assistant professor, PhD in economics, has made a study of this kind of traffic flow. In the way that it's going to be done here in Ontario, do you think that it will flow traffic better, and whether you're in the HOT lane or not, you're going to get back and forth along the QEW in a shorter period of time?
So with the way they're doing it, the main benefit will be there's going to be 500 people that got to avoid traffic. But, 500 people just isn't that many. So a typical highway lane can move about 2,000 vehicles an hour. So along this stretch, I believe there's 3 general purpose lanes. So you're thinking about 6,000 people an hour, and you're moving 500 of them over. And so you're going to see a benefit of like maybe 20 seconds, and you're not going to be able to tell a difference in the general lanes.
I'm excited already.
Hey, for those 500 people, they're better off and no one else is hurt, right? So I think that's the way to look at it.
All right. However, you don't have to pay anything if there's more than one person in the car. So, right. But in reality, we're already getting that benefit because the HOV lanes already exist.
Exactly, right? And the issue is that these HOV lanes often aren't full, right? So there's not enough carpools to keep them so that lane sits underutilized a lot of the time. And so the real benefit of the HOT lanes is then, you kind of have this wasted capacity or slack capacity that now we can take advantage of.
But in your study of these kinds of issues, have you seen that high occupancy vehicle lanes, toll or not, will cause people to say, hey, Bob, why don't you go back and forth to work with me? Or do people only use it if it happens to fit their current situation that day anyway?
So the studies I'm familiar with show an actually fairly sizable increase in carpooling with HOV lanes. Now, every study has its caveats, and, if you want, I can walk you through the caveats of the one I'm most familiar with, but it showed that carpooling went from about 20% up to 44% on a road when they added an HOV lane. So that's a pretty big improvement. Okay,
but are there caveats that would make a big difference to people?
So the main caveat would be this was on a really congested road in Southern California. So traffic was really bad, so maybe the benefit from doing it was bigger than it would be on the typical Toronto road. Toronto's traffic's bad, but LA is in a world of its own.
Somebody just notified me 20 seconds a day over the course of a year means an extra 2 hours at the end of the year.
Hey?
Yeah, but it doesn't accumulate like that. So would you? It sort of seems to me that you might have been better off trying to do something like this on the 401, but maybe I don't have all of the numbers I need on how all these highways work.
So if I got to be a prime minister premier for the day, I would have gone to the 401 and taken the express lanes and actually added tolls on all of the express lanes. And these tolls would have been time varying. It would have been similar to the 407. The toll would be you'd have a transponder. The toll would kind of update every 6 minutes or so, and I would set the toll as low as I could in order to keep those lanes as busy as possible. And by busy as possible, I mean I want traffic moving 90, 100 kilometers an hour with as many cars in them as possible.
All right.
And then I think you'd see a whole lot of people saving a lot of time avoiding traffic. And there's this funny thing with traffic, which is when you get too many cars on the road, they kind of get in each other's way and they create these frictions. That should reduce throughput. So then in that case, you'd be moving enough people into price lanes. But the non-express lanes, I think, would see, a small travel time improvement of maybe up to 5-10 minutes a day.
Well, that is noticeable and people would appreciate. Jonathan Hall, University of Toronto Assistant Professor, PhD in Economics. Appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Tune in again Monday, 9 to noon on In Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.